With the DCU still in its early stages, there's been a lot of talk surrounding potential future plans and what the trajectory of the universe should be. It's pretty much the IP's second chance to entice moviegoers into investing in a cinematic franchise centered on DC's characters after the bad taste the last attempt left in people's mouths. If they somehow mess up again, it's wraps. You will be force-fed Batman and Batman-related content only for the next 10 years. A bunch of TV shows and movies have been announced since 2023, ranging from the 10 projects revealed in the initial slate to others that have been greenlit or announced to be in the works by different trade publications. Since DC has a vast library of characters and ideas to draw from for potential stories, I thought it'd be interesting to highlight a handful of projects I think should be in the works at some point that haven't been already announced. So as much as I'd like to see a new live-action Wonder Woman movie as much as the next guy, it's not going to be a major talking point here since it's already been announced. I've proposed 5 projects I believe DC Studios really needs to lock in on, not only for the long-term stability of the universe, but also to flesh out its world building. To start things off, I think it's very apparent that we get a World's Finest movie after the release of Man of Tomorrow and The Brave and the Bold, which should be a very cold take to the average person. And no, this would not be a redo of Batman v Superman just because it's a film centered on those two characters. BVS being the first theatrical team up between the two created a lot of anticipation going into it, but everyone knows the movie didn't resonate with casual audiences, which seriously damaged the goodwill of that whole universe. If the DCU can maintain a good sense of quality, a Batman and Superman team-up film would be less likely to be criticized for being rushed, as Superman would have had 2 movies with a 2025 film and Man of Tomorrow, and Batman would have The Brave and the Bold, meaning audiences would hopefully become accustomed to and resonate with the DCU's version of the world's finest. When done correctly, it can be really engaging to watch 2 characters from the same universe interact that come from completely different worlds or have contrasting tones, exploring the similarities and differences in their approaches to crime fighting and seeing how their personalities bounce off of each other can make for some compelling character dynamics. Don't think their dynamic works quite as well if they both want to act dreadful for a certain duration of a film's runtime. It's also been blatantly stated that a Batman-Superman team-up is an inevitable roadmap for the DCU.
Listen, I gotta tell you, I just love Batman. I love him. I've loved him since I was a little kid. He's one of my favorite characters. I've gone on record in the past when I was at Marvel saying my favorite character is Batman. I love him, and we're gonna do great things with him. He's the most popular superhero in the world, and I can't wait for people to see more of him, along with Superman. And together.
There's also the fact that Man of Tomorrow appears to be bringing several heroes together to take on Brainiac. You've got Supergirl coming back, the Justice Gang, John Stewart Green Lantern, Blue Beetle, which could help lay the groundwork for Superman to fight alongside heroes who operate beyond Metropolis, making a future team up with Batman feel like a natural progression rather than a sudden crossover. I also think it'd be interesting to see how this Batman views the other metahumans and heroes that are out and about, since this version has been a vigilante in Gotham for a certain number of years and isn't a newcomer, or what heroes he may have already come into contact with. There's a chance he and Superman might have already met in the DCU, who knows. Batman and Superman are objectively the top dogs at DC, and seeing them as genuine allies gives audiences an emotional investment that can carry over into future ensemble films like Justice League. There are plenty of comic story arcs to pick and choose from for inspiration, considering there's been an ongoing mainline comic series centered on Batman and Superman together in every era of DC Comics since the Golden Age. For whatever threat they have to face that would compel them to team up in the first place, you just know the fight scenes will go crazy. Imagine the tag team combos the creatives could pull off, showing how Batman can stand alongside or go up against powerful metahumans, and his versatility as a crime fighter in general. One thing I liked about the stunt department behind Spider-Man Brand New Day was how they took inspiration from the Insomniac games and Spider-Man's finishing animations during combat sections. If they can give the same treatment to the DCU Batman by taking inspiration from the Arkham games, they could easily reach the heights of the BVS warehouse scene, if not surpass it. Honestly, I'm about ready for them to introduce the DCU Batman sooner rather than later. Don't want any more faceless appearances. I'm trying to see the GOAT in full.
We're just getting a taste of him. I'm like, I'm tired of getting a taste of him. I want the whole load.
The next project I think needs to happen at some point is a Green Lantern movie. Not a show, but a theatrical film, because we already got the Lanterns HBO series coming out. When the initial slate was first announced, part of me wished Lanterns was a theatrical release instead of a TV series, since it's such a major corner of the DC universe that hasn't been properly explored in live action since, well, to be honest, Green Lantern has never really been adapted in live action in a way that audiences widely accepted. But I understand wanting to delve into the mythos with enough screen time, rather than potentially feeling pressured to highlight the aspects that the writers gravitate toward most within a 2-hour runtime. The reason why the show is the way it is in terms of its tone and central premise is because Tom King pitched it as a grounded murder mystery, which the rest of the DCU writers' room loved and added to the slate. From what we know, the first season of Lanterns will shed light on 2 mysteries. One is set in 2016, scene, following Hal Jordan as he trains Jon Stewart while the two investigate a murder in Nebraska that is connected to the Manhunter's presence on Earth. The other jumps ahead 10 years to the present day and is said to have much larger implications for the DCU as a whole. An episodic format is a great way for audiences to get familiar with the ins and outs of the Green Lantern Corps and its key players. It allows the series to explore elements like flashbacks to Jon Stewart's upbringing and how he first came into contact with the Guardians of the Universe, how established Hal Jordan has become as a Lantern legend at this point in the timeline, his fear of replacement, and the Guardians' concern over what Hal might have picked up during his time when Sinestro was his mentor.
You don't really believe he's your backup, do you, Hal?
No.
Let's say what he actually is.
My replacement.
An HBO series just gives a lot of these concepts the necessary time to breathe. If it resonates with casual viewers, I think it'd be time to bring Green Lantern to the big screen with a dedicated feature film, on top of Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart making a return in Man of Tomorrow. Any bad juju Warner Brothers and DC executives think still remains after the Ryan Reynolds movie would be gone completely once audiences get attached to the DCU's version of these characters. Lanterns is set to be getting a season 2 with Chris Cantwell joining the writer's room, so I'm not sure if this will serve as the next major outing for Green Lantern instead of a movie, or if they intend on making a theatrical release as well as a season 2 of Lanterns. A movie budget would allow the galactic side of the story to be fully showcased, emphasizing just how expansive the wider universe truly is. Audiences would likely go into the theater with a stronger investment in the central narrative and characters, since they would have already spent 1 or 2 seasons building an emotional connection with them. But the Green Lanterns aren't the only green fellers that need the cinematic treatment, because my boy Green Arrow would be a really good addition to this universe. From what we can gather, it doesn't seem like there are any plans to utilize Green Arrow in any upcoming DCU installments.
We don't have Green Arrow as part of our system right now, so maybe Green Arrow exists, maybe doesn't. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess rip to anyone who was hoping for a Green Arrow project anytime soon.
Somebody get these beggars out of here!
But I do think Oliver Queen can serve an important role that makes him stand out from the other costumed heroes. One of the major focuses of the DCU is how metahumans, corporations, and governments are all vying for power. So far, the major corporations mentioned were Luthor Corp, Lord Tech, Stag Industries, and Wayne Enterprises. I think Oliver Queen could put himself in that mix in an interesting way, as he's one of DC's most politically outspoken heroes, being very critical of the shady practices of other billionaires and those in power. If you have a wide subsect of people comparing Green Arrow to Batman simply because of his personality and the specific villains he encounters in an adaptation, we might have a bit of a problem here. A big emphasis of his character is his devotion to sticking up for the little guy and keeping the other powerhouse heroes grounded and honest.
Look, I'm an old lefty. The government must do for people what people can't do for themselves. Come on, I don't belong up here. I just helped the little guy. And a big club like this, you tend to forget all about him. Still don't think I belong up here.
That's the point. Someone like you will keep us honest.
Gee, Bats, I don't know.
Having him around would also help expand the street level side of the DC universe outside of just Batman and the Bat family, as he has his own roster of allies and a support system. His inclusion could also help establish other teams within the universe, considering Roy Harper is a founding member of the Teen Titans, and Black Canary is one of the founding members of the Birds of Prey. Green Arrow as a whole is pretty underutilized when compared to heroes casuals are more familiar with the CW show being the only major outlet he's had of his own. He's never had any other show or feature-length film, live action or animated. And everyone knows by now that Gunn has an affinity for wanting to prop up characters that aren't A-listers, so why not incorporate a hero that actually has a dedicated fan base? To further explore the DCU's established history of metahumans, a Justice Society of America project would greatly benefit the universe's world building. The Justice Society is known as the first superhero group in DC's canonical history, setting the standard for heroism for decades to come. Metahumans have been public knowledge for 300 years, and the mural in the Hall of Justice gives us a glimpse at the various costume heroes who have operated throughout the centuries. Gunn at one point compared the structure of the DCU to franchises like Star Wars, where people can explore different corners of a larger world without everything necessarily revolving around one overarching story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. That approach would really take effect by having projects set across different time periods, like the JSA serving as the premier superhero team during World War II.
Yeah. But is this all about, hey, I'm telling this one story about this big bad? No. This is about a connected universe. We're world building. We're not story building. We're not writing one story that has a beginning, middle, and end. We're creating a universe in which people can go and join into this universe and experience it. And it is much more like Star Wars than Marvel in that respect.
Their presence in history could be used as a point in time that greatly inspired future generations of heroes, paving the way for heroes a part of the Justice League to step into the spotlight. A key component of the JSA is the idea of legacy and how many of its members created or inherited mantles that have been passed down. It'd be a great way to cement Alan Scott as the first Green Lantern or Jay Garrick as the first original hero to take on the mantle of the Flash. Regardless of whether they go that route or not, the Scarlet Speedster needs a movie one way or another, because who in their right mind wouldn't want to make a dedicated Flash project at some point in their interconnected universe of DC characters? We're talking about the most iconic speedster in fiction and a founding member of the Justice League. It's unfortunate how the last attempt at a Flash feature film left a bad taste in people's mouths and underperformed at the box office, so we're definitely not gonna get another one within the next couple of years. But there should definitely be one in development once the DCU has gained some momentum, allowing a handful of projects to build audience interest and establish the universe's major powerhouses, especially the members of the Trinity. This would also allow for enough breathing room after the end of the CW Flash TV show, which ran for 9 seasons over the course of almost a decade. I think everyone would prefer if the next Flash film doesn't end up being this event-shattering multiverse story that's supposed to alter the status quo of the universe at large. It's kinda crazy how the only 2 Flash-centric movies are basically just some sort of adaptation of Flashpoint. The Flash's Rogues Gallery is highly regarded for its versatility and the characterization of some of his major villains, yet they have had little to no cinematic presence. So a living, breathing DC universe would be a good place to start exploring those characters. It seems like they're moving forward with the Jimmy Olsen series where he and the Daily Planet crew investigate metahuman crimes, and the first season centers on Gorilla Grodd. Don't know how likely it is for Flash to show up, but I do think it'd be weird to make a true crime docu-series with Jimmy Olsen hosting, centered on an iconic Flash rogue and he doesn't show up once, with the series likely to showcase Grodd's past adventures and how he obtained his status as a supervillain to begin with. These are just a handful of projects I think encapsulate the general gist of the types of stories fans have expected to see in the plans one way or another. Hopefully it won't take ages for DC Studios to even consider hiring talent to work on these premises, let alone giving them the green light, because surely none of these would be as big of a financial disappointment as Supergirl, right? A lower box office gross than Blue Beetle and Shazam 2? Oof, let's not do that again. Hypothetical projects of this caliber could restore the lost faith some might have had after that movie, or the lack of updates surrounding the movies based on the heroes people are most excited to see on the big screen, but only time will tell what they have in store next.